This is an oral history interview conducted for the Witness to War, Serving a Nation project at Nauset Regional High School on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. For the sake of this interview, please state your full name and community in which you now reside.
Ray Dube, Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
How did you end up on Cape Cod?
I moved from the center of the state where I was born.
Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Successful.
What was your most emotional experience during the war?
Twice wounded.
What made you want to be in the war?
To get away from my father. That's basically it.
Okay. Can you tell me your most exciting event on your first day of camp?
There is no exciting things once you get to Vietnam. The first thing that hits your mind is the heat. The second thing is the smell. The third thing is you have 13 months in order to hopefully wake up that next morning and leave. That's the only thing you have on your mind.
Okay. What qualities from the military did you learn?
Discipline.
Did you have someone close to talk to during the war?
No.
Okay. How did you end up in the war?
I volunteered for the Marine Corps in 1964, and in 1967 they sent me there.
Okay. Do you have PTSD from the war, and if so, what triggers it?
Okay, what that is known as is PTSD.
Oh, sorry.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, it's PTSD. And what was the second part of the question?
What triggers it?
What triggers it? Ignorant people and anxiety and stress.
Do you ever remember the war?
I try not to. Most of us try and eliminate it from our minds.
Can you tell me how close you were with your comrades?
Everyone is pretty close. You know, you have to rely on one another in order to hopefully make it the next day. And everybody sort of has a bond where, you stick up for one another.
Okay. What were some of the pranks that you pulled on other people?
Didn't have time for pranks, dear.
So when did you decide to go to the military, and how did your family take it?
I decided just after turning 17 years old, it was to leave the family situation I was in at the time and get away from the house. And that's what I did.
Okay, how did you get injured with the two wounds?
Two wounds, yes. How did I?
Yeah.
Okay. The first time was about 3 weeks in country, and a 250-pound bomb went off, and I caught part of the shrapnel in my leg. The second time was a hand grenade when we were on patrol, and it was a booby trap. Somebody set it off, and I caught it from the back.
What country?
This was in Vietnam.
Okay. Why did you join the military?
To get away from my father.
Why did you pick the service branch you joined?
It was the first office I went into.
Do you recall your first days in service?
First days?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's boot camp for the Marine Corps, my dear.
Did you enjoy it?
You get beat up every day, but I enjoyed it because I learned a lot.
Like?
Discipline, how to work well together with others, and basically stamina and fortitude. That's what you learn.
What was the most intense activity that your coaches train you to do?
No. Oh, you mean in boot camp? You
Yeah.
mean? What was my most what?
intense activity?
In boot camp, it's all pretty much intensive. It's 12 weeks of pandemonium. It's just crazy. You have to do as much as you can each and every day to make it to 12 weeks.
Do you remember your instructors?
I remember Sergeant Decker and Corporal, two corporals I cannot remember, but I believe his name was Sergeant Decker. He was the senior drill instructor.
How did you get through it?
Perseverance. You keep applying yourself, and there's no other recourse, so you do what you must in order to get through.
What was he like, the instructor?
They were all very angry, mean people. In the end. But they were doing it for your own good, let me say that.
Yeah, by training you to do
Yes.
stuff like that. What was your job or assignment?
In boot camp, I was just a regular person until about 2.5 weeks in, when I was selected to be head of the platoon guide. And that's what I ended up being, a platoon guide.
What's a platoon guide?
He's the person who is responsible for the guidon, which is the platoon flag. And he carries it everywhere the platoon goes, and he runs with it, and he fights with it, and he does everything with it. It's a notification that that's the outfit that is present on the scene.
That sounds exciting.
Mm,
Did you see combat?
yes, twice.
Hold on. Were there many casualties in your unit?
Well, the time I was there were deaths, yes. But, like I said, the first time I was in country, I was wounded, I think it was 18 days or 3 weeks after getting in the field. I went into the hospital for 4.5 months, went back out into the field for another 3 weeks and got wounded again, went back to the hospital, and then decided to leave Vietnam after my second wound.
What was the biggest burden you carried?
My rifle. No, basically, the biggest burden you carried was wondering whether or not you were going to make it back every day.
That's a lot.
Yeah, every day.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
I was awarded, I have 9 different ribbons, and I have 2 Purple Hearts.
How did you get them?
I was wounded twice. That's how you get the Purple Hearts. And the others is taking part in expeditions and things in various parts of other parts of the world, such as the Dominican Republic in 1965 when the embassy was taken over. Expeditions in the Caribbean, cold weather exercises in the Arctic Circle in Canada and Norway. I went to many, many, many places.
Okay. How did you stay in touch with your family?
I wrote letters to my mother.
Did you write letters to anyone else?
No.
What was the food like?
It filled your stomach. You ate it.
Did you have plenty of supplies for everyone?
Sometimes it all depends how long you were out and what happened when you got out there. Whether or not you were able to get back right away or whether or not you had to suffer a little.
Did you feel pressure or stress?
Every single day.
Were there any special thing you do for good luck to see that you can come back? Like,
You try and pick up your feet and not drag them.
How did people entertain themselves? Like keep laughing, keep
Well,
happy every day.
if you got the opportunity to spend a little time in the rear, you listen to music. That's basically all that was there. Music and maybe a little bit better food.
What kind of music?
What kind of music?
Yeah.
Motown. You don't know what Motown
No.
is, do you? It's the black music of the 60s and 70s.
What did you do when you leave? Like went on leave?
When I went on leave,
Yeah.
I didn't go on leave. I left the country, and from Vietnam I went to Okinawa for 6 months, and then for actually about 5 months, and then I was shipped back home.
Okay. Where did you travel while in service?
Well, I think I said most of that before, but I traveled all over the Caribbean and visited many airports in Iceland, in Hawaii, in Norway, in I can't think of anything at the time.
Okay. Did you keep a personal diary?
No.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
I certainly do. September 23rd, 1968.
What did you do in the days and weeks afterwards?
After the service,
Yeah, what did you do?
I was let out 6 days early, 7 days early from my 4-year enlistment period in order to be able to go to college. I went to college under the GI Bill.
Did you make any close friends while in the service?
Not really.
Did you join a veterans organization?
I didn't join an organization. I'm part of the Disabled Veterans of America, but that's just because of my situation.
What situation?
What was the question again?
Did you join a veterans organization?
I joined the disabled veterans because I was a 100% disabled veteran. That's all I joined.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about the war or about the military in general?
Absolutely.
How?
How? It just went to show me how crazy white men in Washington, D.C. are running this country, and still today, and doing the same things over and over again, getting us ready for another war. I wish they'd send their children.
If in a veteran organization, what kinds of activity does your post or associates have?
Again with that question?
If in a veteran organization...
I'm not in a veterans organization.
Oh, sorry. Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
Only that I'm glad that young people are getting involved and learning about what it is that took place, and hopefully it will give them some sort of insight as to what is presently taking place, and hopefully they'll be able to use their brains and guide us properly.
Have you or your comrades been taken hostage before?
Not that I know of. Some of them, people went missing. And a lot of times that was because either they got blown up and there was nothing left to pick up, or they just disappeared.
Have any of your friends died before your eyes? Like you've watched people?
Well, I mean, my eyes weren't on the individual, but no, I didn't.
Okay. Can you tell us a story about yourself? Were you in the military? like a positive story?
I went into boot camp basically 5 months into 17 years of age, and managed to end up after 13 weeks in boot camp being the platoon guide, making PFC, private first class, and basically moving on from there.
Tell me 5 things you would love to do that inspired you from the military. Like 5 positive things that you learned from the military that you'll do again. Stuff that you went through.
I don't want to do anything I did in the Marine Corps again. I really don't know how to answer that. You want to try and ask it again? Maybe I can hear something different.
If you could go back in time, what would you change?
What would I change? Nothing. Doesn't pay. Something else is going to happen. If you don't accept what it is you have, something else is going to hit you in between the eyes. So you might as well take what you got and deal with it and move on. Run out of questions?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Did you have any pets?
Have any pets? Oh, you're too busy taking care of yourself and others to have anything else to worry about. There's no time for pets. There are no pets. There are only wild monkeys. And
How did it feel when your troops was called onto its first mission?
well, tentative. You know, you're asking what are we going to encounter? What's going to happen? It was that question arose every day.
Explain what you needed to prepare for the war. Like what?
Mentally prepare.
Yeah.
There is no preparation. If you go, you go. And you try and do the best you can. But you don't prepare for war. There is no preparation for that.
Okay. What were the living conditions like?
Well, I I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I can't remember sleeping.
Didn't sleep?
I don't remember. It's really quite. I mean, when you first got there, before you got assigned to your unit, you had cots and tents and things. But once you got out into the field, I don't know. You would go back at a certain point after your mission was over and go back to those cots and tents. But in the meantime, you were on the ground, whatever.
How did your upbringing influence your decision to enlist?
Oh, it was every single part of it. My father chased me out of the house and I left gratefully. Thank you. That's what it was.
Where did you go to high school?
South High School, Worcester, Massachusetts. 1964.
What would you do? What would you have done if you hadn't joined the military?
I don't know, probably got into trouble.
What kind of people did you meet when you were in service?
You met other people like you. There was no time to meet people. The only time I actually had an opportunity to meet people is when I was in the hospital on both occasions.
Describe the hardship you experienced.
Well, the hardship is being away from home, and the fact that you don't know whether or not you're going to wake up the next day, and whether or not you're going to make it back. There weren't too many other things you had that concerned you when you were there.
What was it like the day when you came home?
I landed in Los Angeles from Okinawa, and I kissed the tarmac, and I went on my way. I went from the West Coast to the East Coast and came back home.
What was your opinion? What was your opinion of the war?
Another useless another instance where people who think they have the solution to everything stick their nose in other people's business and in other countries' business and think that they can make things go their way. And it doesn't happen that way, as was really shown in Vietnam. Those people were not going to give up. And it's like that with most people in Southeast Asia.
What do you miss about the war, the military?
About the military? Not a thing.
Explain the most important thing you learned during the war.
During the war?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay down. That's really.
How did your family feel when you told them you were going to serve in the military?
I don't remember any reaction, to be quite honest. I mean, I don't know of any emotion that was. I didn't even care, to be honest. But I didn't. And they knew I was going off, and that was it.
What inspired you?
I had just turned 17 years old. I had just graduated from high school, and I was just wanting to get away from my father.
What did you take from the war and that you are using now?
Can you ask that question again?
What did you take from the war that you are using now?
You might want to go outside. That I'm using now.
What abilities?
None. I don't know.
Can you describe your uniform that you used to wear?
Yeah, basically they were utilities. They were just green everyday working uniforms. You know, it was just a shirt and a pair of pants and boots, and that's it.
How did you spend your free time?
There was no free time, unless you went back to the rear and, like I said, then you ate and showered and maybe listened to a little bit of music.
Was the camp like in the woods area?
No. Most camps that were established up on hills in order to have a predominant.
How were you treated after the war?
I didn't experience anything because I went straight into college and began studying, and did that for 4 years. And when I graduated, that was about it.
Do you like how the government put in a day for veterans, like Veterans Day, the holiday?
Well, they have to do something, don't they? They don't maintain their VAs and their Veterans Administration hospitals and outreach centers for the most part, particularly in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a sad disgrace to the VA. And the Manchester office, at least. And I don't want to rant too long, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for doing this video, and we appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you girls took the time and came back. I had the nerve to ask to come back because it just so happened it messed up, and I did it for you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And hopefully for the people who hear it, if it provides any assistance, you know what I mean. I don't know if it will, but it certainly will give them something to think about. Something to think about their government too, and how in the future they might want to vote, because it'll be their children that go off next, or them, or their mothers or fathers, or their uncles and aunts. It doesn't matter anymore. They just throw anybody in there. They just line up bodies. And so, hold your government responsible, gang. Okay? That's what you need to do as a result of this. Thank you for taking this.
Yeah. I have one more question.
Okay.
What would you tell the people watching this if they wanted to join the army?
If they wanted to join the army.
Yeah.
Know that if you join, these crazy white people that run this government are going to get you killed in one war or another. We're on our way to another one right now in Syria. They're already mounting up the troops, and that quack that we have in the White House needs to go. I don't have much faith in our country. Half of it doesn't know how to think, and the other half doesn't know how to vote. So I don't know what to think anymore, and that's why you see a lot of veterans that just sort of shy back and stay out of the picture and just try and fend for their own and get things done.
Once again, thank you for doing this interview with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.